Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. So today's video, we're going to talk about, will solar storms threaten humanity on planet Earth? So the obvious answer is yes. But the second question to that answer is, to what degree will we be affected? So a CME is a coronal mass injection. That is where the sun shoots off or fires or burst particles, radiation, and plasma from the sun. Now, it happens a lot. A lot of the times it doesn't happen in our directions, but when it does, it can be a threat to the planet Earth, again, depending on the severity of that CME. Now, when a CME hits planet Earth, it normally causes something called a geomagnetic storm, or also known as a solar storm. So this is where you get the aurora lights, those fancy lights that you see in northern countries at night, and you look up and you're like, wow, that looks nice. Well, that's radiation, particles, plasma bombarding the Earth's atmosphere, and it's bombarding that and causing this cool lighting effect. Now, if that wasn't there, well, we'd be dead instantaneously, fried, radiated, potatoes, whatever you want to call us. That's what would happen. So that's what a geomagnetic storm is when you're looking at it. And geomagnetic storms have ratings, G1 to G5. G1 is minor, G2 is moderate, G3 is strong, G4 is severe, and G5 is extreme. Extreme is obviously the worst it can get. So the geomagnetic storms, or the frequencies of a geomagnetic storms, dictates how active the sun is and how many sunspots form or lack of sunspots. So obviously, depending on the maximum amount of sunspots that start to form, the sun is in a solar maximum stage. When there's least or less sunspotting frequently happening, the sun is in a solar minimum stage. So keep that in mind, guys. You have to keep in mind where the sun is, if it's solar maximum or solar minimal. Solar minimal, we don't have to worry too much about CMEs, though it does happen. But solar maximum, we have to be constantly aware that the sun could be shooting off CMEs towards Earth. Now, we have seen this here on planet Earth, starting with the Carrington event of 1859. That was the event where the planet was hit with a massive coronal mass injection, sparking off a geomagnetic storm that sparked off telegram wires to fry, telegram offices to be set afire, and in some cases the junction boxes of those telegrams in the middle of woods, starting forest fires. And telegram operators were also zapped. That was in 1859. In March of 1989, Quebec was also hit with a solar storm, which knocked out the power, that lasted about 9 hours or so. In 2012, planet Earth was missed by a Carrington event scale solar storm, or CME, that just missed the planet Earth in 2012. And in 2017, another geomagnetic storm had affected ham radio operators during the crisis of Hurricane Irma, and that was in 2017. So again, we have experienced some effects here on this planet from CMEs being shot towards Earth. Now, keep in mind, guys, the CME only affects the sunlit side of the planet at the time it gets hit. So, Russia can get it, China can get it, and we wouldn't be affected by it. CMEs don't hit planet Earth and wrap around the planet. It doesn't work that way. So, can humans be directly affected by a CME or geomagnetic storm? The answer is no, but astronauts, high altitude pilots, and commercial airlines can be affected by the radiation of a CME. Now, I read in a couple places that commercial airlines might not be affected, but again, that was a might. So it's quite unclear about commercial airlines, but definitely astronauts, for the obvious reasons, and high altitude pilots can be affected radiation wise by a CME. So in 2017, a paper written by the American Geophysical Union wrote that if we were to get hit by a CME as strong as the Carrington event, that 66% of America would be in blackout. That would cause $41 billion a day in lost revenue, not so much damage. Now, there is going to be damage, obviously, because we are a tech-heavy society. So Telegram was the only technology back in 1859 that was affected by a CME. Today, because we're so tech-heavy, we have the risk of losing communications, cell phone, internet, power. In a recent study, hardening the electrical grid system could lead to benefits up to $27 billion worth. So that means there are other benefits other than just hardening the system for a CME. There are other benefits that go along to that, but I could not find out what the additional benefits were. So on one side, if we don't harden our system, we can lose $41 billion a day, or we can gain $27 billion, but they didn't say whether it was a day or a week or a month. It is, suffice it to say, better to harden our system than it is to let it be. Now, here's the bigger point to this video. If we were to have another Carrington event today, right? If we were to have something that bad happen to us today, we would be up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, because we are, like I said earlier, a tech-heavy society. We are dependent upon technology. We're putting up 4Gs and 5Gs, by the way, which 5Gs is turning out to be not as fast as they were promising everyone. And there's a lot of health issues with that. I'm not going to get into it, but we would lose communications right across the board. We would lose cell signals, satellite communications. Obviously, cable would go out. There would be no way to communicate with anybody if we were hit with a CME of the strength of the Carrington event. We would absolutely have blackouts because the power grid system would get hit, and we would have electrical disturbances. So with that, a CME striking the planet is going to happen. It's just a matter of who gets hit and when. Because keep in mind, guys, when a CME hit, it hits the sunlit side of the planet, right? So if China and Russia, for example, are in darkness, guess what they don't get hit by? They don't get hit by a CME. They don't get hit by coronal mass injection. We do, right? And vice versa. If we're at night and one lets go and it hits the sunlit side, which could be China and or Russia, you know, fingers crossed China, they could absolutely be affected by the same way. Now, the best way for us to combat a CME is, from all the articles I've read, is a warning system. A warning system that lets us know how strong this CME is, right? So if the CME is weak and we find out about it, we're like, oh, no big deal. They'll still give us a warning, and they'll tell us what it's going to affect. But if we can find out that we get a G5, which is extreme, right? We get one of those headed towards us, it can tell us how bad it is. It could warn power companies to shut everything down. Because if they could shut everything down in time, the electrical grid systems won't fucking overload and blow the transformers and put us in blackout, right? So if they get to shut that down, then everything's okay. But if they don't get enough warning, then we're screwed. Now, the warning system right now is, we can only know how severe it is within 90 million miles of Earth, which is an hour or half an hour to an hour. Now, during a bad CME, food deliveries will be compromised. Medical deliveries will be compromised. Gas deliveries will be compromised. A lot of things will be compromised if we end up in an 1859 Carrington event today, right? So we have to prepare for something like that. Now, how do we prepare for something like that? Well, generators. Your generators will be shut off at the time. Hopefully you won't have your solar generator plugged in. And that's how we're going to get past it for a lot of us. Gas generators and solar generators, even solar panels, guys. Solar panels, those little panels that charge up your phones and your smaller devices, I would get that for your smaller devices. So you're not plugging your iPad, your phone, your Kindle or whatever it is into the jackery, for example. You're going to plug it into a solar panel that you could charge in the sun. Now, in my case, because my window faces an alleyway, I would have to come up here on the roof and charge my shit. So I had to have the solar panel out in my devices, and I would have the jackery and its solar panels out charging. That's how I would get around it. Now, if you have a house, you're in luck. You just have to leave it in your backyard and make sure your dog doesn't piss all over your shit. That's the most you have to worry about. Then you have to worry about security with the blackouts and things like that, but that's a different story. How we get ready are also batteries. Make sure you have enough batteries. Make sure you check those batteries from time to time. Make sure they're not too old. Make sure they didn't expire and explode. All right? These are things we're going to do to prepare for the possible CME. Make sure you have another way of cooking food, whether that's a gas stove, a propane stove, or a grill, or a charcoal grill. You can cook on a charcoal grill. It takes a little while to get that water up there, but nonetheless you can cook on it. Or you get yourself something like a firebox, something a little more smaller, more intimate. But these are the ways you get around with not having power. Now keep in mind, hopefully a CME, when it releases and destroys the power grid or knocks out the power grid, hopefully we have enough backup to get it up and running. Now the UK, for example, the national grid system out there, they're working on getting backup parts and backup generators on standby just in case this happens. They're already working on it, and this is in the UK, so I don't see why America wouldn't do the same. Also, guys, the other way you're going to prepare, canned goods. You're going to get yourself more canned goods. You're going to get yourself freeze-dried foods. You're going to get yourself MREs. Now, MREs are super salty, but they don't require heat. You can eat them cold. You can eat them hot if you want to warm them up. But if you're looking to conserve energy and conserve your gas, you can eat those cold. Canned goods, you can eat those cold as well, but it's better if you heat them up because they taste like shit cold. I do sell 2 freeze-dried food companies, if you will, or I sell for 2 freeze-dried food companies. I sell for Patriot Supplies and Nutrient Survival. Both links will be in the description section below. Check those out. Again, if you can't afford it, stick with the canned goods, because MREs are expensive too. I looked into them. I bought a ton of them. They are super expensive. But if you're looking to eat, if you're looking not to go hungry, canned goods is a good way to go if you're looking to save money. But if you have money to spend, look into freeze-dried foods. Again, both links will be in the description section below. And I'll also put the gas stove that I use. I have used in the house a couple times. Now, if you're going to use a propane stove in a house, guys, or an apartment, make sure it's in a well-ventilated area. Do not put it in your room with your windows closed. You have to have ventilation when you're using these things. Another way for you to be prepared is stay informed with what's going on. You have to stay informed with the CMEs. There's a couple of websites. I'm going to put those links in the description section below where you can follow, where you get notifications of CMEs happening. So if you get a CME being released from the sun, this website emails you the strength of the CME, when it's headed, where it's going to hit, and a lot of nerd shit on the bottom of it. I used to follow it, and then I unsubscribed from it a couple years ago because the sun had entered the solar minimum, or is entering the solar minimum. I can't remember. But we were having less CMEs going off. I would advise everyone to sign up for that again. Again, the link should be in the description section below. So, other than that, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching. Sorry for the long video. You can like and subscribe to this channel. You can like and subscribe to the Outdoor channel. Sorry. You can like and subscribe to the Angry Truth channel. You can follow me on Instagram and Telegram. And as the Angry Truth, you can follow me on Instagram and Telegram. Thank you for watching.